What's up? Welcome to another Deal in the Cards Q&A. I'm Sandy McMillan. I'm coming to you with all your questions from Twitter. Can't wait to get in and answer some of these. You get about 20 minutes of unfiltered Sandy here, so let's just dig right into it. This is going to be really fun. Our first question here says, what young Cardinals would you like to see get extended? Man, that's a great question. I think there's an obvious answer for me at the top, and I know we talked about this on the podcast, but it's got to be Ivan Herrera. I know the injury really stinks, but I don't think it's a long-term problem. It's just a bone bruise on his knee, so it's not like you're going to expect this to impact his performance down the line. For me, that's an obvious one. Let's extend Ivan Herrera. He's a legit homegrown bat. He could be in the middle of your lineup someday. He can play catcher. The surplus value is tantalizing. The upside is unbelievable. It's crazy. I feel like there was so much prospect fatigue with him. He was still considered a prospect, you know, well after he debuted because the Cardinals used him so sparingly at the major league level, and he kept spending time at AAA, and they had concerns about his arm. And these top, these outlets like MLB Pipeline, for example, just really moved him down with no rationale. Ivan Herrera has like a 130 WRC plus basically over the last 2 years. I know that's not exact, but it's about where it is, and he ranks above some really good hitters in that time, including like Bryce Harper and some other guys. And maybe that's a symptom of them having some downtime, but whatever the case, Herrera's been awesome. Let's extend him now. Let's buy out those arbitration years because he could get pricey if he continues to do this. And let's get a couple of free agent years while we're at it. It seems like young players are willing to take extensions right now. If you see the Campbell deal, for example, or the Jackson Merrill deal, and that's a guy coming off of basically winning the Rookie of the Year in any other year. Obviously, Skeens won it, but he was awesome. He was unbelievable last year, and he still took an extension that included some of his free agent years. Granted, it's quite expensive, but the Cardinals should be willing to get a bit uncomfortable for this one. Even the Churio deal, he hadn't debuted yet, and they kind of saw him as their next superstar, but they were able to get that done. So I'd love to see the Cardinals do that. Outside of that guy, outside of Herrera, some of these other ones are tough. Like, obviously, I'd love to see them extend a Nootbaar or a Donovan, but it's almost unfair to call those guys like young Cardinals at this point. They're established. They're part of your core. Man, they've been around 3 or 4 years at this point. This is Donnie's 4th season. I know Nootbaar has some roster time as well. So it'd be nice, but you're already in arbitration. These guys are already going to start getting expensive now. Maybe you can buy out a couple of those years. I really don't know if they would want to go, not test the market at this point, though. They probably could both bet on themselves, and they could be fairly expensive. Mason Wynn is an intriguing option for me as well. The floor is just so high with Wynn. The defense is really, really great. I mean, it's really valuable, and he's playing shortstop. So it's one of the most, if not the most important defensive positions on the field. The bat, I mean, it's actually, after a slow start this year, it's coming around. He had a nice little 10 for 20 stretch at one point earlier this season. I believe that bled into the Pittsburgh series, and he's been really, really solid. So there's no reason why you couldn't look into maybe extending Mason Wynn. After a pretty strong year last year, he might be expensive. It might be hard to buy him out, but I think I'd be interested in doing that as well. And then I'll just give you one more here. I want to say one of these young pitchers, but none of them yet. You really don't want to take a risk on some of these guys, especially because aside from McGreevy and Liberatore, none of your interesting starters have thrown a pitch at the major league level yet. So I do want to wait and see what a guy like Jerpy or Hence, should he get healthy. I mean, I know Jerpy's hurt too right now, or Roby or, Matthews has the big league level before we do something like that. Man, one more. Victor Scott. Let's go with Victor Scott. I think this would be really interesting. He's clearly a different player than he was last year. Maybe the peripherals are a little bit behind the results right now, but he just looks confident. He's taking great at bats. He's drawing walks. He's fighting up there. I mean, he really does with the opposing pitcher. And once he's on the base paths, you have no idea what's going to happen next. Blink and you've missed him, and he's standing on second base. So the floor is really, really high. Yeah, the routes haven't been perfect. I know we've talked about that a bit on the podcast, but his speed and his athleticism make up for that. and they give him a baseline as a very good defender with the potential to grow into a great defender. It'd be interesting to see them workshop something like that. You're also really early in his career. Maybe you could get something very favorable done, but it's also still going to be uncomfortable because there's still plenty of potential that this is just a hot stretch. You really don't know. So I'll say in order of guys I most want extended, let's go Herrera, Newt Donnie, but I don't know if either of those are going to happen. Wynn, Scott, and then I'll throw Walker in there as well. I've basically said everybody, but I think those are what those deals look like. I think Herrera is the most like the guy you need to prioritize right now. Okay, next up here. Am I the only one that wouldn't mind seeing Gorman traded? Maybe. I certainly would not like to see Gorman traded. I'll lead with that. I think it'd be a mistake right now to trade Nolan Gorman. I've been vocal in my support of Gorman. I know people say he's streaky, and I can't deny that, but I think he's a very talented hitter with tons of upside. Gorman was awesome in 2023. He was one of your best hitters. And yes, he endured a horrible June, but outside of that month, he was pretty solid. He was pretty great. Last year was rough, but guys have down years, I really do hate that in this industry, people will just give up on somebody for one down year. That's really quick to just change your mind on a guy that the Cardinals did see as one of their cornerstone bats moving forward. They saw him as a tent pole in this lineup. He can play second base. That's valuable. They're going to give him a shot at third, it seems, especially if they move on from Arenado, although I know Sajazi's going to get his chance too. I just think trading Gorman at this point could backfire big time. He's had one bad year. And even that down year, 85 OPS plus, it's bad, but it's not like 50, It's not the worst thing you've ever seen. Guys have down years. Yes, he was 15% below league average. He wasn't 40% below league average. Maybe he was carried by some hot streaks too last year. But I just think that the chance of rebound is high. I'd like to see him play more often. But I think trading him is a mistake right now. And I don't think the Cardinals should do that. I think they really don't know what they have in Gorman at this point because the data, it's conflicting. He was great in 2023. He was very solid when called up as a young rookie in 2022 at the back half of that season. I believe he had like a 104 WRC plus as like a 22-year-old. This is a guy that you've dreamed on for a long time. He was a highly ranked prospect, got him in the first round out of high school. I think, cutting your losses early is a mistake here, especially because the Cardinals have refused to cut their losses in other instances, a la Dylan Carlson, a la Tyler O'Neill, and that results in them getting no value back. Why would you cut early with Gorman, And again, I do think his value is pretty low right now, actually, too. It'd probably be an O'Neill type move where you're giving up a player is good and you're getting nothing back. All right, let's do one more here. Then we'll break for some ad reads. But this says, how bad does it have to get for the Cardinals to DFA Miles Mikolas and bring up McGreevy? Okay, so there's two parts to this question. Number one, how bad to just boot Mikolas off the roster? I think you saw how bad it needs to be, and I think it needs to be like that a couple more times. This is not Adam Wainwright in 2023. This team has some higher aspirations than that team had as well, I think. Obviously not the very beginning of the season, 2023. They thought they could contend, but I think this team is decent. This offense is coming together. This pitching staff sucks, but it could be better. There's talent. There's guys to come up. Quinn Matthews is going to come up at some point. McGreevy is going to come up at some point. So yeah, removing Miles Mikolas from the rotation. You need to see more. I'm the Mikolas defender on the podcast. I feel, I'm just going to lay it out there. I feel that Miles Mikolas has been disrespected by fans over the last couple of years, not because he's been great and fans refuse to admit it, but just because there's this narrative all of a sudden that Miles Mikolas has always been a bad pitcher, that he's never been good, and that the Cardinals were mistaken to have him on the team at all. And people will say stuff like, oh, what do you think happens when bad pitchers with bad stuff get old? They go from bad to worse. It's like, no, Miles Mikolas was very good for a few years. Finished 6th in Cy Young voting back in 2018, was an all-star and the ace of this staff in 2022. And frankly, Miles Mikolas should be commended for his service to the organization. He's a fun guy. I've really enjoyed watching Mikolas. And I can't say enough how sad I am that it is coming to this end. he's one of my favorite players. I know he's one of my sister's favorite players as well. It's going to be a shame to see the Lizard King, Magic Mike, moving on to the next chapter of his life. All that said, and acknowledging that his first turn through the rotation was all right. It wasn't the issue for the Cardinals. It wasn't the reason they lost that game. The second turn was disastrous, and the stuff is just not there anymore. He was getting by in 2023. 2024 at least gave you a couple of innings more than anybody else on the team and enough quality starts, but it looks bad right now, and it looks like it could get worse. I really don't know what it'll look like next time he pitches. I know it's coming up, so I guess we'll have to see. Not super high on it at this point, and I do think the Cardinals should move on. I think if you're looking at Miles Mikolas having an ERA around like 5.2, 5.5, and we're in late April, early May, I think you see the team pull the plug. I think they say, yep, this ain't it. It also depends on how McGreevy performs at AAA. His first start to the season wasn't fantastic. So we'll have to see that. So the second part of the question, once Miles Mikolas is gone, it really is about how do you get McGreevy into the rotation? Because when Quinn Matthews is ready, they're going to promote Quinn Matthews. He will leapfrog whoever else. And I know there's guys in line, like Graceffo's been in line forever. He's been leapfrogged by guys. That's just how it goes. You go with your most interesting option at the time. Robersa's in line. He's going to get leapfrogged too. It's possible McGreevy gets leapfrogged, but they're going to have to clear some space. I think if it's sooner rather than later, it's going to be McGreevy. But if we're in, July and they finally pull the plug on Mikolas and McGreevy's been just all right and Matthews is dominating AAA and the Cardinals need that high impact arm, it's probably going to be Matthews. So I think it has to be bad, and I think it has to be bad soon. I think it has to keep being this bad, and if all those things happen, you could see the team DFA Miles Mikolas and bring up McGreevy. I don't know if that answers your question perfectly. I know I got on my soapbox about Miles Mikolas. I am a fan of his long-term. I am sad that it's coming to this end, but it has to keep being bad. He's probably going to have an ERA of like 5.5, 6 in late April, 5.5 in early May, and maybe they say, hit the road, buddy. They do need to get starts for these young guys. We've talked about that at length, but I'd love to see McGreevy get 25 plus starts this year, and I'd love to see Matthews get 15 to 20. We need to know what we have. All right. Let's just take a minute here and do a quick ad read from our presenting sponsor, 314 Sports Cards and Collectibles. They're located at 9640 on Olive Boulevard in Olivet, Missouri. They're open 10 to 6 Monday through Friday and 10 to 4 Saturday and Sunday. They buy, sell, and trade all sorts of sports cards, Pokemon cards, really whatever you're looking for. They've got it. They've got incredible memorabilia. They have the newest selection of packs, boxes, single cards, whether you're looking for local players or stars from around the league, they've got it there. 314 is such a fun place to go. Andrew hangs out there all the time. I've been in, I've met the guys. I've patronized the shop once or twice. It's very fun. I love being in there and, do whatever we can to support them. So please get out there, let them know we sent you in. And go pick up some new cards, go get a new hobby. I know Andrew's in love with it. You watch him on the show. He does some unboxings for us. People seem to like those. Maybe we'll do some more. And then another message from one of our other sponsors.
The Deal on the Cards podcast is proud to be partnered with Underdog Sports, our favorite place to play fantasy games. You're now eligible to play in Illinois, Missouri, Indiana, and 37 other U.S. states. You got to check out Pick'em. It's so easy to play. You just pick 2 to 8 stats of your favorite players and choose whether they'll go higher or lower. You can win 20 times your money by going 5 for 5. If that sounds like fun, sign up with our promo code CARDS to claim your first free pick plus first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. We can't wait to see your entries.
Yeah, seriously, Underdog is so much fun. We've all been playing. I know I was kind of killing it with some college basketball pick'ems. Josh and Andrew do great with the baseball stuff. And when football season rolls back around, we'll have more of those for you guys as well. It really is just a really fun way to watch the games, pick higher or lower. You can 20 times your money. So seriously, it's a great time. But let's get back into this Q&A here. So our next question says, perhaps Herrera will be considered the future first baseman at some point. It's an interesting question. I think for now, no, because you've got Wilson Contreras at first, and you've got other guys that are limited to only being able to play first. So the roster is constrained because you've got Luken Baker, who is not a viable outfielder in any way and plays first base, and that's what he does. He's not getting a ton of at-bats. He's not in the field a ton, but you need to be able to get him in against lefties, and that's valuable. So right now he's going to be there. And then you've also got Alec Burleson, who they just don't want to play him in the outfield, and I don't blame them. He's not good out there. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. And so Burleson is also pretty limited to first base DH. You can play him in the corner outfield, but they really didn't do it at all in spring training, and we haven't seen them really do it at all this year. So it looks like he's going to be a first baseman only. And now you've got Contreras, and this is the sticking point. I know Contreras has not been good at the plate this year. He's also still the Cardinals' best hitter. Like, that's true until this continues for a long enough time for me to believe he's, fallen off some kind of cliff, because he's been their best hitter the last 2 years. He's a great hitter. He's one of the best hitters in baseball when he's healthy. Granted, that hasn't been all the time, and that's part of the reason they moved him to first base. So the Cardinals put him there. They want to protect his bat. They want him in the lineup 162 times. He's the only Cardinal that was ranked in the top 100 of ESPN's, top 100 MLB players coming into this year. I think he came in at like 97, though, so not a great look for the org. Really the only Cardinal that deserved a ton of attention coming into this season is Contreras because of what he's done the last few years when he's been on the field. He's also had some catching related injuries. So that's another reason. I mean, you're preserving this guy. You want that bat in the lineup. He can anchor that lineup when he's actually producing, and he's going to produce. It's going to happen. I'm still not worried about him. Still not worried about it. I'm getting a little annoyed, but I'm not worried about it. So I think for those reasons, you're not going to see Herrera at first base. The Herrera defensive problems are also a bit overstated. Now, I know that his arm is a weak point. I agree with that. He needs to control the running game better. They're trying to get him to throw from his knees and see how that works for him. He doesn't have to throw runners out. He just has to keep runners from stealing all over him. To be fair, though, that hasn't been a problem in all of his starts this year. Just a couple notable times, especially in the Red Sox series where it felt like guys were all over the place. But that bat is so special. I mean, if Ron Herrera can get up there and hit a couple of bombs, it doesn't matter who steals on him, how often, right? So the surplus value is great. He's also a good game caller. He's a plus receiver. He can block just about anything. He's not a bad defensive catcher. He just has some trouble controlling the run game. So I really don't have a problem with it, to be honest. I don't think he'll be the first baseman. Also, the other thing is too, like the bat Von Herrera has, if you can plug that guy in at catcher, that's huge surplus value. There are a lot of good hitting first basemen. There are not a lot of good hitting catchers out there. So the Cardinals would lose a ton of value on him just by moving him to first base. You lose that defensive value. And on top of that, you lose the surplus because he's way better at hitting than almost every other catcher in the league. Whereas if you put him first base, I mean, he's still a good first baseman offensively, but he's not the best. So that's it for me. Contreras is going to be there for the time being. They've got other options. I don't see it being Herrera. Maybe in like 4 years, if he hasn't come, or maybe in a couple years, if he doesn't come along as a receiver, or if he takes a step back defensively for some reason, I just don't see it happening. I think the Cardinals want him to catch. I think that's going to be how it goes. All right. This next one is a long one, so get ready. It says, what needs to change? Oli. Fire him. He screwed up the 2022 playoffs. 2023 was horrendous. 2024 stank. 2025, he doesn't know how to win in extras. It's not hard. Sack bunt the ghost runner to third every time. Throw your closer in the 10th. Everybody else can figure it out. Oli is a moron. Watch attendance drop below 20K. Nobody wants to watch this leaderless crap. Wow, that's a lot right there. I understand that you're feeling frustrated. I'm feeling frustrated with the team too. I'm not just going to blame Oli, though. Let's go back to 2022. Let's address each of these points, right? So the 2022 playoffs. Oli did not screw up the 2022 playoffs, okay? We talked about this on the show early in 2023. We agreed. In the moment, I was like, leave Quintana in, but we agreed. It was the right move. You got what you needed from your starter. You had a good bullpen. Ryan Helsley was one of the best closers in baseball. You have to go with that guy. Those playoffs were improbable. The Cardinals had far better batted ball events than the Phillies. They just got unlucky, and sometimes you can't find a hole. And sometimes your potential platinum glove or second baseman can't pick up a ball and throw a guy out. And sometimes your third baseman with 9 consecutive gold gloves stabs at the ball and makes an error in the field. And sometimes you've got the best closer in the game and he just can't get anybody out. And it sucks that it happened in a playoff game. It sucks that they blew a lead. It sucks that they could have won that series and maybe should have, but Oli wasn't on the field. It wasn't his fault. 2023, how are you blaming Oli? The team fell apart. What's he supposed to do? He's got Adam Wainwright. He's got aging Miles Mikolas, who is not the same pitcher as he was in 2022. He's trying to make ends meet with no homegrown starting pitching talent. Jack Flaherty is no longer the pitcher he was. I mean, all these things are happening. He's got drama that he's trying to tamp down. O'Neill is a diva. Flaherty and Contreras seem to be beefing. He's got to play Kisner now more often. And I'm a Kisner fan, but he's not the guy. So all these things are happening. I just don't understand how it's his fault. 2024, Oli managed a subpar roster to a winning record and playoff contention for most of the season. Maybe we watched a different team, but that offense sucked. I mean, Goldschmidt with runners in scoring position was feeble. Arenado with the game on the line. I don't want Arenado at the plate last year. I mean, he was feeble in big moments. The Cardinals had one of the best bullpens in the league, but look who that bullpen was made up of. Chris Roycroft, John King, my king, John King, but still, that's a guy that, not going to get a ton of money if he was on the open market right now. Andrew Kittredge, who was a nice addition for the Cardinals. Ryan Helsley, who's a stud, but Jojo Romero, that's a guy they got on the edges, and he struggled last year at times. Some of the Kyle Leahy, I'm a big Kyle Leahy fan. I know some people aren't, but it's that's again not one of these big name players. And Oli managed it almost perfectly. I really don't know how you blame Oli for last year. He squeezed just about every win you could have out of that roster. He pulled all the right strings with the bullpen. It seemed like a lot of his pinch hit decisions were pretty well educated. There were a couple we disagree with here and there, but come on. I don't know how you want him to be better. That roster kind of stunk. And this year, the extra inning losses are frustrating, but let's go through them, shall we? First time, Cardinals pitching implodes, and they lose immediately. They lose because they give up multiple runs and extras. In pretty much all their games, they've given up multiple runs and extras. So even if they'd done the one thing to score. Now, if you want to talk about the Boston game, infuriating. I'm sorry, but that's Ryan Helsley's fault. Oli can't get out there and throw strikes for him. Oli can't get out there and take at bats. Maybe he'd be better than some of these other guys in big spots, but he can't do that. He's not on the roster. It doesn't work that way. And, look, the last game against the Pirates, I know you're frustrated, but that's not how it works on the road. I actually disagree with you. That's not how you win in extras. If you're the road team, you have to play for multiple runs. That's how it goes, because the home team can very easily score the one run. So what do you want to do? Do you want to, simply move the runner over, bring them home, and have 2 outs with nobody on base? And then the other team basically has a free chance to tie you, but they also have chances to go for it. You're told to play for multiple runs. The analytics support that. That is how you do it. Also, throwing your closer in the 10th, yeah, that'd be an option, except for the fact that in the Red Sox game, and I think they've done that before, but in the Red Sox game, they threw Helsley in the 9th because they had a lead, and it was his fault that happened. And in the Pittsburgh game, pretty sure Helsley was cooked. They'd like to throw him in the 10th, but again, you got to play to win. So you can't just play to tie. You can't just play to survive. You got to end the game eventually. All that is to say, I think I disagree with how you're saying you should win in extras, and I think Oli actually does a pretty good job. The Cardinals battled back in that game against the Angels, that back and forth extras inning game, and they just lost. He can't get out there and force these guys to put the ball in play. He can't get out there and force these guys to score, and he can't get out there and throw strikes for his pitchers in extras. The only good pitching in extras has been in that Pirates game. The other 3 games, it's been horrendous. They've been surrendering multiple runs in each inning. I know at one point they'd allowed 10 runs in 4 extra innings, 4 of which were unearned, but still, that's horrendous. No offense in the world keeps up with that. That's so bad. That's still 6 earned runs that are coming around additionally. That sucks. Nothing they can do offensively to keep up with that. The pitching staff is the problem, and that's not Oli's fault. Look what he's working with here. You've got these guys that seem to be regressing. Roycroft, not the same guy. John King, some bad luck, some bad results. Maybe not the same guy this year that he was last year, although I still do have hope. Kyle Leahy's been great. Ryan Helsley's already had a blow-up. Jojo Romero looks all right, but he finished shakily last year. Ryan Fernandez might not be the same guy. Like, it's a lot that Oli is dealing with right now. So feel bad for the guy. Leaderless crap, attendance below 20K. Attendance is down because they're losing, not because of Oli. I just disagree with that. I do not like that take. I don't understand the hate Oli gets from this fan base sometimes. I am a fan. Okay. Last question. I know I got a little riled up and got on my soapbox there, but that's how it goes in these Q&As. Why are you already so optimistic about the offense? It's only been 10 games, 12 now, and it was terrible all last year. It can get a lot worse. That's pretty negative. But I agree with you, actually. I do think it can get worse. I was trying to be the voice of caution, of reason a little bit in our last episode on Dealing the Cards. I know Andrew, very excited about the offense. He does think the offense could be coming together. And I agree. I'm seeing good signs. Like, these guys look more confident. They look more competitive. Victor Scott looks comfortable. Like, he's here to stay. He's part of this lineup now. You're getting year 2 Mason Wynn. Lars Nootbaar looks awesome. I mean, seriously, if he's healthy, he's a star. Brendan Donovan looks good. Looks like he might be rebounding from a little bit of a downturn these last couple of years, although still very good. Not a statement on Brendan Donovan's effectiveness. Still a very good player, even if he's just a 110 WRC plus guy. But he looks like he could be getting back up towards 115, 120. Something fans should monitor and be incredibly excited about. You've also, Wilson Contreras is going to get better. If that happens, this offense gets better. Jordan Walker looks solid to me. He looks comfortable. I don't see him biting at every outside pitch. I know guys are talking about the barrel rate, the squared up rate, the sweet spot rate, the launch angle problems, but at least he's not flailing at pitches on the outer half like he did last year. You know, he looks better. He looks strong. He looks comfortable. Ivan Herrera was the best hitter in baseball before he went down, had the highest xWOBA in the league, had an expected slug of 943. I have nothing but great things to say about Ivan before the injury. Even Pedro Pajes looks like he's taken a step in the right direction this year. There is so much to like offensively here. And I'm sure I'm not even talking about everybody. It looks like Nolan Arenado might be figuring it out just a bit. I know people are a bit down on some of the peripherals there, but hey, he looks like he's having some fun, and that counts for something. Even Alec Burleson, these guys have been good. Lucan Baker's been good when he's gotten opportunities. This offense is scoring a lot. They, I believe, are 3rd in the league in runs scored at the moment. It just sucks that they are also 1st in the league in runs allowed. So they do give up a ton of runs. And some of those teams ahead of them in runs scored, they've played extra games. I know the Cubs have scored a ton of runs. They probably have the best offense in the league to date. I'm not going to say on this, they're not going to be the best all year. But the Cardinals have been right up there with the best offenses in the league this year. And some of it looks sustainable. Some of it looks good. These guys just look, they're having fun. They're comfortable. They're confident. These guys are here to stay. There's no more sending Victor Scott down. He's done with it. Clearly. There's no more sending Walker down. Like, he's ready to go. Even in the short stint we got from Gorman, he looked great. Ivan Herrera is here to stay. His bat is here. He's been awesome. There's nothing I can say negative about these guys. They've been fantastic. So just throwing that out there. Even Sajazi's been good in his limited exposure. So that's where I am. Yes, it could totally get worse. You could have, like, the doomsday scenario is Contreras has fallen off the cliff. Mason Wynn was just on a short hot streak and is bad. Victor Scott's peripherals catch up with him. Lars Nootbaar gets hurt next week. Brendan Donovan sells out to, get more power, trying to do too much in a lineup that all of a sudden is really thin, and he struggles. And Jordan Walker can't elevate the ball. Like, these are possible, but it doesn't look like it did last year. I think you're seeing some of these guys finally figure it out. So that's where I am there. Anyway, thanks for a great Q&A. Always tons of fun to get on here and answer your questions. If you have burning questions, I'm sure all you watching this do, I'm sure you guys have things you're wondering about. Feel free to just leave comments under this video or reach out to us on Twitter. I'm at SameX718. I don't know Andrew's Twitter handle. I think Josh, like at JoshJacoMLB or something like that. So seriously, if you want to get out and you can see us on the Dealing the Cards account, you see our stuff. So reach out that way, message us, DM us, seriously, whatever you need, however you want your questions answered. We love answering these. We love these Q&As. They're a ton of fun getting to get on here, get unfiltered for a little bit and just talk, ramble a little bit in front of the camera. So if there's anything you guys want answered, please let us know. Anyways, like and share with your friends. It helps us grow this channel. We love doing what we do for you guys. It's a ton of fun to put out this content. One of the best parts of my week is getting on here and doing this kind of thing. So thank you so much, and we'll see you guys next time.